Long day. First stage on the build is to figure out how we're going to do everything. Inspection, see what's going to fit. So all this stuff has to be rewired, not necessarily moved, but it has to go to the new battery system, which will work, but need a terminal for both positive and negative, and then jump to terminal to the other batteries. The spaghetti wiring seems difficult at first, but we were able to mount some bus bars, some terminals right where the batteries would be, and worked out just fine. So this line here is coming in. This is your shore power hot right here. Shore power is going in and goes to a transfer switch, and then one of these two is your main going back to your breaker box, and the other one is coming from the generator. So everything's coming to here with a transfer switch. So running everything that far might be some of our biggest hassle. This was the other side of that compartment with the transfer switch, and with the original system we were going to install with the inverter that did not have a transfer switch and was just an inverter, we would have had to install another transfer switch to make this work. Turns out we ended up going with a different system. Next issue is that is an inverter charger. So if I take that out, he does not have a charger. The inverter that I have, 3000 watt Renogy, is only an inverter. So I'll have to let Ian know about that. And then there's plenty of space in here to install another transfer switch. It turned out there was another charger behind that breaker box panel. Did not even know it was there. In the meantime, we decided to go with the Multiplus 2 anyway, which was definitely an upgrade from the Renogy that the customer brought me. So it was good that we went with the Multiplus at that point. Next was figuring out battery location. I had two 200 watt lithium ion batteries the customer brought, and you can see here that I am not happy because the batteries will not fit under the couch, and I'm realizing we're going to have to modify the bracket that holds the seat belts. We ended up removing the couch and the bracket and doing some fabrication to make it work. Turned out really good in the end, but at the time you just don't know what it's going to take. Next, we're on to mounting the solar panels. The customer brought me 4 solar panels at 150 watts each. So I always do an inspection of the roof if I have a chance. I use this time a drone to do the inspection at first, and just to get some footage of it. Worked out pretty nice. And you can see in the pictures and the drone footage here, there's plenty of room to mount those panels. We ended up putting them in the back. I have a picture of that. Not a whole lot of other footage on that one, however. So yeah, we mounted 2 there and 2 in front. So this drone is an IR drone, infrared, and you can use it to inspect panels. I decided to inspect my roof. This is on my trailer, and you can know something's not working if you get a hot spot. So none of the panels are, different temperature, or any of the cells are different temperature, and you'd see it in the drone footage. So that's kind of just for fun for his at the moment, but you could then do an inspection, which I forgot to do, of the panels once they're installed to confirm there's nothing wrong with them. So it's a really good tool, obviously not needed, but it's kind of fun to have. Next thing we want to do is figure out the wiring that's going to come down from the roof. What you see here is the existing wiring from that single panel, and we need to determine if that wiring is large enough for the current and voltage that I'll be running down. Thank goodness it turned out it was large enough wire. Here's the final install of the panels. It's what I like to do first, is get that done and wire it up. So it went in pretty well, plenty of room to mount them. We decided to mount the panels towards the back and leave space between them for walking, and worked out well. Unfortunately, this is the only shot I have of the final product of the panels. I will in the future remember to do an IR scan of them and some better aerials and some drone shots. I just didn't get to it. I think it was a wet and windy weekend, and just wanted to move on to the next stage. Next stage was mounting batteries or installing them, and turned out batteries did not fit where we wanted them to between this bracket for the seat belts. So we had to, well, you'll see, ended up modifying this and extending it. Turned into a little bigger project than expected, but sometimes that's just what happens. All right, we're going to add 3.5 inches extension to here, and then move all the bolts over, which will hit the frame, and then we can just do regular bolts and nuts into the frame at that point. All right, we got the bracket out for the seat belts. Couch is moved out here. As is, the couch would actually work just fine. The brackets used for seat belt security, which isn't actually needed, but we should put it back in just in case someone wants to use it for now or in the future. We got the frame structure for the seat belts out. Outside, we can see here my brother prepping for the extending it. We decided to extend it right in the middle, and then just use some L brackets to reinforce it. So all we had to do is cut in the middle and reinforce each side with some channel, and I had some channel laying around. And you just drill the hole where the seatbelt brackets were, or the connections were. Worked pretty well. It took a little while, obviously, fabricating, but it turned out nice. Here's a picture of where those bolts, those carriage bolts, went up through the floor, up into that seatbelt bracket. We were able to move that back, and they hit that frame, whatever C channel or whatever that is, and it went right through it, which was a perfect distance that we needed, and that's how we extended it, and it worked pretty well and more secure than we started. The next part of the build was to reinforce the compartment that the inverter and charge controller were going to go in. It was just plastic mounted to the floor. I'm measuring stuff up here, seeing how things are going to fit. Here's the final result of it, or final fabrication. Everything went in very well. Wasn't obvious at first, but it worked out very nice in the end. Here's the install of the inverter charger and the charge controller. We always like to use the wood to reinforce the compartment with that carpet, or like speaker carpet. Makes it look really nice. Next, we have the battery install. We can see the batteries fit perfectly now between those brackets for the seat belts. Now that the batteries are inside, the customer will not have to worry about any heating and cooling issues for the lithium ion. Next piece of the puzzle is we need to put in a different style battery isolator from the truck. So here's a picture of it. And because we have lithium ion, we'll go with the lithium ion isolator. Here's the lithium ion isolator. This is from Precision Circuit Incorporated, 225. So it works out really well. We were getting, I think, 70 amps to the back. Here I am describing what goes where, but I actually had music playing, so I'll just talk through it. One side is chassis, one side is coach, and trace the ignition switch is right in the front, and the back ones, the back piece, that's the ground. And once we traced everything down, we're good to go, and we can install the isolator. It worked out great. This is the fun part. Once we have everything wrapped up, doing some testing before we button up everything. We want to make sure things are running. So I turned on the back air conditioner. Inverter is on. Rear AC running. I'm not sure I'd power up the main, but this is working fine. Testing and diagnostics all checked out. Customer picked up his rig, was quite satisfied. I got a text or call from him a few days later and let me know the fridge wasn't working on electric. So I thought I could easily diagnose that, but he was 200 miles away. In the meantime, he wanted to install a remote start on his generator. So we arranged a time. I decided I'd go ahead and head down. He was about to leave for reassignment in the military, and I wanted to take care of him before he left. So I headed down and took care of business, got everything worked out. I'll check out that next. So I investigated the gen start, decided to go with the factory model for the Onan. Seemed like the best thing to do, not a cheap item. Installed pretty easily though, not a big deal to do that, just had to find some power. My departure day, got the truck all packed up. Remote work is always interesting, so you want to be prepared as much as you can. Had to stuff everything in the truck, in the back, and in the bed. Made it down and worked on the rig. There it is, I have arrived. I'll show you the work in a bit. So this was unplugged. I will test that once we get power going. I figured out that the fridge problem was a breaker that the factory had wired to both the converter and the fridge. Once I isolated everything, it worked just fine. Here's the interior and more video of the rig. Went ahead and turned off the fridge because it wasn't working, trying to check it out. You can see here the batteries just as I left them. Looked pretty good. That took some work to install, but I was happy with the outcome. Here's a video of the compartment with the inverter and charge controller and a better picture of the connections and components. One issue that could come up with this install is heat buildup. I talked to the customer and said we should leave it open if it's really hot, but he's not pushing a lot of energy for any length of time through the inverter, so I wasn't really concerned about that. Just short bursts for the microwave, things like that. All done with the install. Time to wrap it up. Just got to clean up and pack up.